delighted to feature our next panelist speakers. They actually are your trailblazers in respect of they are out there designing and implementing all sorts of efficiencies and talk about sustainability to the point of reclamation and creating new jobs. And our three presenters today include Mr. Frank Wright. He is with the Kimberly Clark Corporation from Paris, Texas. And Mr. Wright, he has worked with Kimberly Clark in Paris, which of course we know produces Huggies and the training pants and the pull-ups, everything we all know that are essentials in households at times throughout our life. And in addition to that, though, he is responsible for the implementation of Kimberly Clark's environmental initiatives, and they typically include elimination of the use of priority toxic chemicals, energy efficiency improvements, landfill avoidance of manufacturing wastes, and of course development and implementation of environmental management system. And so of course we're going to have him speak to us, and then our next panelist speaker is Elizabeth Combs. And she is the Public Relations and Recycling Coordinator from IESI. And I'm one of those people that have to know what is IESI, because I don't have it committed to memory. It's Independent Environmental Services Incorporated, for those of you who didn't know. And Elizabeth is responsible for promoting recycling education and with her local community groups, businesses, and school districts. And one of the neat things about IESI, since opening its new MRF, they have been able to privately fund single-stream recycling facility to become LEED certified in the U.S., which is the first facility. So she works very closely with groups from school children to city officials. And last but certainly not least, we're very pleased to have Jose DeLeon with us. He is a senior sustainability consultant with Waste Management. And Jose, he works with water quality analysis and sampling methodologies, conducting phase 1 and phase 2 environmental assessments. And his work history, I know it's gonna be a great segue. His work history has taught him that the customer-focused, quality-driven, and results-oriented, that helps him promote and bring sustainability development to implementation. So we're very delighted to have all three of you with us today. And we're looking about learning how material reclamation for job growth. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good morning. I'm Frank Wright. I'm the environmental coordinator at Kimberly Clark's Paris, Texas facility. And my responsibilities there include compliance with our facility TCEQ, air, water, and stormwater permits, proper management of our hazardous and regulated wastes, and landfill avoidance and solid waste recycling initiatives. And my subject matter today is material reclamation for job growth. But I just wanted to say that our material reclamation activities are really just as much about surviving these very tough economic times right now as they are about job growth. But our sustainability initiatives definitely do impact our bottom line. For those of you that may not be familiar with Kimberly Clark, we are a 140-year-old company with nearly $21 billion in net sales last year. We have 57,000 employees working in 36 countries. We're large. We sell the leading brands in more than 175 countries. Nearly 1/4 of the world's population purchase and use our products every day. We created the first facial tissue, Kleenex, and with brands like Kleenex, Kotex, Depend, Scott, and the two products there that we manufacture at the Paris, Texas facility, Huggies diapers and pull-ups, training pants, we hold the #1 or #2 brand share in more than 80 countries. We were previously ranked first in the personal care category in Dow Jones Sustainability World Index for 5 consecutive years. And we contributed nearly $25 million in cash and products to charitable causes in 2010. So this is a look at the Paris, Texas facility where I work. It's a 230-acre site with about 30 acres under roof, so it's also a very large facility. We have about 1,000 employees, including all of our contractors, and we move about 100 trucks of finished product a day out of the facility. So we've always been a very strong environmental performer, but our first documented environmental objectives were established in 1995, and those included our landfill avoidance and solid waste recycling initiatives. We've achieved a 99.7+% recycle rate of our manufacturing waste for the last 5 consecutive years and 6 out of the last 7 years. And that equates to about 20,000 tons of solid waste a year that's recycled just at the Paris facility. Critical infrastructure that's needed to make that happen includes 9 balers, and we have 14 different unique non-hazardous solid waste streams. Yes, sir.
Just quickly, I mean, it's such an amazing jump there in 2000, it appears, 2002, 3, I guess. Would you attribute that significant spike there?
We purchased a few more balers.
Okay.
We added more baling capacity. Okay. So we have 14 non-hazardous waste streams. 5 of those waste streams generate revenue for us, and those streams generated $2.5 million in revenue last year. And our top 3 revenue generators are pictured here. The photo on the left is our diaper trim and bag tails. That was sold for nearly $2 million last year. And the center photo is our mixed manufacturing waste, and that includes the stretch wrap that all of our raw materials come wrapped to the facility in, and also our polypropylene and polyethylene butt rolls like the ones you see on the table here. The right photo is our baled cardboard waste stream, which is our 3rd highest revenue generator. Our off-specification finished product is also recycled. We bale that up and send it to a sister facility, and they reclaim the absorbent core of the diaper and then recycle that material back into their diaper. Our bag spools are collected and returned to the bag manufacturer to be used over and over again. We also recycle about 80 used fiberboard adhesive drums per day. What we do is we de-chine or cut the top and bottom metal rings off of the drum, and that then enables the material to be 100% recycled. The metal rings go into our scrap metal stream, and the remaining fiberboard cylinder goes into our baled cardboard stream. Our used aerosol cans are punctured and sold as scrap metal, and that enables us to manage this waste stream as a non-hazardous stream. Until those cans are punctured, they're an EPA hazardous waste. The sludge from our wastewater treatment plant is loaded into used raw material super sacks, and then we recycle that by using it as fuel for waste to energy. We recycle our pallets as well. Used pallets are collected, loaded on a trailer, and sent to a pallet recycler that's in the Dallas area. So since achieving our initial landfill avoidance and recycling objectives that we set back in 1995, our current goal now is to begin to recycle some of these wastes in a better way. And the waste stream that we focused on that you see here is our waste to energy stream. So we've used 2010 as a baseline, and we set objectives to reduce this volume by at least 20% in 2011, and then a full 95% by end of 2015. So the blue bars here on the graph are our actual waste to energy recycle volumes in tons per month, and the red line is our targeted glide path towards our 95% reduction. So we did a great job in 2011. We far surpassed the 20% goal. We achieved 83% reduction last year. So how do we do that? Our cardboard segregation initiative has resulted in the most significant impact to this objective. If you look at the photo on the left, that's before we began our cardboard recycling efforts, and what you have there is a single 800 ton per month waste stream that has a mixture of both cardboard and miscellaneous polypropylene and polyethylene plastics in it, like the butt rolls over here. And so we did recycle that waste stream, but it was very expensive to do so, and we recycled it by waste to energy. So we had to pay the vendor to recycle the material for us, plus we had to pay transportation to move the material to the vendor's location. So the two photos on the right then is what that waste stream looks like now after we've sold the cardboard. It was that simple. So on the top right is a pure cardboard stream that we sell to a buyer, and the photo on the bottom right is what remains, and that's a mixture of polypropylenes and polyethylenes, which we sell to a plastics recycler. So both new waste streams are now sold. In both cases, the buyer not only pays for the material, but they pay the transportation, and the total impact on an 800 ton per month stream was $1.4 million in cost improvement. And then finally, we also achieved our objective to recycle the material in a better way, because now those materials are both used as a raw material to make a new product instead of being used for their heat value. So in addition to our improved waste segregation habits, posted standards like the one in this slide, lean visual tools like you heard about earlier, and daily checks by shift leaders and myself have just helped to continue the momentum and maximize our saleable plastic streams and minimize our waste to energy streams. Also in 2011, we began an initiative to reuse some of our raw material cores, and we successfully created a closed recycle loop with the KC manufacturing facility that produces this raw material for us. This has been a $90,000 a year cost improvement for our plant, and some of these cores have been used now up to 6 times, and we're looking to expand this program to include other raw materials later this year. We chose this particular core because it's the most expensive core that we have, and the photo, if you could go back for 1 second please. These are the cores. We've consumed the material. There's just a little bit of material left on the core. So what we do then is just stack them up on pallets with cardboard protection, stretch wrap them, load them on a trailer, and when the trailer is full, we send the whole thing back to the manufacturer, and they will re-spool those cores for us. And they will also, they have the ability to reclaim that little bit of white raw material that's left on the core, so that's reused as well. Captured dust from our air emissions control devices is compressed into bricks, and then we load it into super sacks. And this is another example of a waste stream that was recycled by waste to energy, but we eventually did find a buyer for this material. So again, they pay us for the material, they pay the transportation to get it to its location. It's not a big revenue generator, but it's a better way to recycle it than waste to energy. And we don't recycle just our solid waste materials. We also recycle our treated processed wastewater by using it for irrigation on the facility landscape. We've gotten 33 million gallons of utilization out of this system since we installed it back in 2002. And this not only saves Kimberly Clark money because we don't have to purchase fresh water to irrigate with, but it also conserves potable water during the summer drought months and makes more water available for potential City of Paris development. Energy efficiency has been another focus for us. We've been able to reduce our energy consumption per standard unit of finished product produced by about 1/3 in 2011, using year 2000 as the baseline. The projects that we've put in place the last 11 years included widening of our temperature and humidity control bandwidths so that those systems weren't over-controlling or fighting each other. We began with an annual compressed air leak survey, and that was so beneficial that we expanded that to twice yearly, and that's currently a quarterly event for us now. Kimberly Clark has a staff energy team, and they found that most plants like ours can save about 10 to 15% of their compressed air consumption just by eliminating the leaks throughout the system. And we use a lot of compressed air, and it's a very expensive utility, so there was a lot of payback on that. We've installed energy efficient fluorescent lighting throughout the facility. We've improved our HVAC and our boiler controls, and that's allowed us to unload one chiller and one boiler at significant cost savings. We also installed 17 VFDs on our largest air handlers. That was in fourth quarter 08 and first quarter 09. And that had a very nice 0.6 year payback and reduced our total facility load by nearly 4.5% in the very first year. So everything that I've shared with you so far, along with our efforts to reduce the amount of hazardous waste that we produce at the plant, and our implementation of an environmental management system, that was all submitted to TCEQ for their Texas Environmental Excellence Award program, and we were proud to be selected as the winner in 2009 in the large business non-technical category. And as the name implies, the award recognizes the state's most outstanding environmental initiatives. So I want to conclude by playing the 90-second video for you that was produced by TCEQ after our selection and then was shot at our Paris, Texas facility. If you can back up one slide, that one should work. Yeah, that's fine.
Towards the end,
Yeah.
that'll be okay?
Yeah,
All that, that's
sure,
okay?
sure, that'll be just fine. Any other questions before I finish? Yes, sir.
Question. So obviously you started, or Kimberly Clark started on this initiative far before the green movement came about. Could you just kind of talk through where that thought process came from? Or, I mean, were you just thinking of this from a business perspective and man, we're wasting a whole bunch of stuff that's going in dumpsters, we should do something with this, or just kind of how that process initially began for you guys?
You know, it was a staff initiative. Again, KC is a really large company, and we have environmental staff in Roswell, Georgia, and we have subject matter experts there. Like we have a small group of folks that are just air experts, and just water experts, and just solid waste initiatives. So we get a lot of support at the staff level to get these programs started, and really the initiatives come from Kimberly Clark at the corporate level. So, these same objectives that were laid down, for Paris, Texas, apply to all KC facilities worldwide, really.
So do you have so saying that now I'm interested, does Kimberly Clark have a big number? Like we've saved this much money, or we've, like last year and...
Yeah, we do, but I'm afraid I couldn't tell you what that
Okay.
is. I can only speak for Paris. But
Good
yeah,
deal.
it's a big number. Yeah. Yes.
your numbers show that you recycle a very large percentage, 99 plus, so how much still goes out?
0.3%,
Which is-
1.2 to 0.3%.
I understand, I mean, if you put that in pounds or tons or trucks.
Let's
or-
see, it would be about 0.3% of 20,000 tons a year. So, is that maybe 600 tons a year, something like that? The main things that still go to landfill, there's really just two. Most of our raw materials are like this. There's some sort of a plastic base material, either polypropylene or polyethylene. But we have a couple of raw materials that are non-plastic based. So if we have reject raw materials that we cannot run, then we have to recycle those by waste energy. Any plastic-based reject raw materials can be recycled by a non-waste energy method. So, so it'd be reject non-plastic type raw materials, and the sludge from our wastewater treatment plant also still goes to a waste energy recycler. That's a really difficult to recycle waste. It's probably not likely we're going to be able to find anything better than that to do with it.
Thank you.
I came in a little bit later in the session, but at this one, at the Paris plant, what is your total cost savings from your environmental initiatives and your waste reductions? I know you said $90,000 a year on the recycling of the spools.
Yep. Again, I'm afraid, I guess I don't have a total number.
Okay.
We spend upwards of $10 million a month just for raw materials to produce our
$10 million a
products.
month?
Well, that's what we pay to purchase raw materials to make our products. So we're talking about really large
Talking
numbers.
about that, yeah.
But I'm sorry, I don't have an answer to your
Okay.
question. Yeah, just bits and pieces. The 90,000 for the surge cores alone, 1.4 million just to recycle cardboard. Any other questions? All right.
Good
Thank
job.
you.
Alright. My name's Elizabeth Combs, I'm with IESI. We do trash and recycling. We'll go to the first slide, please. This is just a brief company overview. We're kind of an economic development story in itself because we started off with our CEO that had worked for larger businesses, and then he actually decided to go out on his own with 6 people, 2 trucks, and that was in 1995. We're now a $1 billion corporation. So really, we've had tons of growth. We're the 3rd largest waste company in North America at this point. We're in 11 states. We have stock. Let's see, and the next. In the US, we have about 3,600 employees. We have fleets all over the place, especially in Texas. We have a huge region within Texas. We service 350 cities just in Texas. So again, there's just a lot of growth going on for us. And that actually includes, throughout the US and Canada, that includes 113, like basically divisions for us, where we might service 1 city, we might service 5 cities from a certain division. We actually do see a lot of city contracts where they basically bid on the services that they want, and we, put our proposal together where they want a specific office in that city. And for example, Rowlett's just right down the street. We have a small office there, and that is exactly for economic development because they want us to be within their city. So that's something we do all over the place. So we also have 58 transfer stations, 39 recycling facilities like our McKinney facility I'm about to tell you about, 29 landfill sites, which 3 of those are gas to energy sites. As such. And then 2 ahead, please. No, you're fine. Okay, so this is our McKinney LEED certified facility. It's actually the first recycling facility to be LEED certified in Northern America. We received a gold certification for that. It was interesting because it was the first time really a private industry had done something like this. There had been a couple of city-owned collection sites that had been LEED certified, but actually a whole, MRF that we did LEED certified was a first, and still we're the only one that has it. Really, we've done a ton of different things, and I'll go through them in the next slide. And this is just kind of some pictures to back it up. But we actually, in accordance to our LEED policy, we actually got 37% of our materials used to construct our MRF were local. So within 500 miles of the facility that we constructed. We diverted 82% of our construction while we built our building, which we always say we're, a recycling company, so we should be good at recycling. So luckily that was a good number for us. We also have 22% of our building actually is recycled content. And for us, that was difficult because we kind of are, it's almost like a warehouse. We're a shell, and then we have equipment that we had specific equipment that we needed. So we really had to be creative about what we needed to get our LEED points. So we have a lot of things like we encourage carpooling, we have all Texas native plants around the building, we have recycled water, we have, just a lot of recycled content obviously throughout. So inside, that's basically where everything goes once the materials have been sorted into each of those bunkers, and that's actually the conveyor belt that goes up to be baled. So inside, we have walls that are compressed cardboard instead of wood. We have, light fixtures that are made out of water bottles. We have a lot of different low odor paint, and the carpet that we have throughout the whole facility is actually recycled water bottles. We also do a lot of education. Right now we're having about 300 people coming through every month seeing it. So that could be, we actually had an economic development council from West Texas that came out that wanted to see our facility. We've really had schools, anywhere from schools to officials. We've had a group from Argentina that came down that wanted to see our facility. So we kind of have seen them all. And then outside, that's the reflective roofing. And then basically the overhang for shade all around in Texas we need. And then there's the kind of the natural landscape. We don't do watering, so we just have everything that's drought tolerant. And then next we have the CNG. We actually did the first test within Texas of a CNG truck. We operated that right in our kind of Haltom City area because the airport has CNG filling stations. It was really successful, so we're really hoping to do this in other places, which we've actually, the next step would be pretty much putting in our own filling station. So that's another thing that we would partner with economic development committees wherever we are to kind of, help with that. Seneca Meadows, I'll just talk about really fast. That's actually a huge waste energy facility that we have, and it actually is it's upstate New York, but it was kind of an area that nobody wanted to be in, and they rehabilitated pretty much the whole office park was built up around it, and we power that whole office park. So that was a huge, thing for us to do. But we also have an education center there, so they do tours, like the kind of things that we're doing with our recycling facility, they do to show the landfill. And then when we talked about 113 different divisions that we have throughout Texas or throughout the U.S., just one example of that one division, we have 130 people there full time. A lot of people ask, there's jobs coming in, but what are those jobs? And sorting recyclables is, maybe not the most glamorous job. But, what we really do is we try, when we have good people doing that, we try to get them to get their CDL and become drivers with us. The average driver at our facility in McKinney has been there for 8 years. So for a company that has started in 1995, that's a pretty good, retention that we have. And again, those drivers might make $50,000 a year. So we have, these are good jobs. We talked about the tours and kind of outreach and everything. We've partnered with our economic development council to bring kind of sister businesses. We had a computer recycling facility that was looking to put a facility in, and so they toured our place just to kind of show the success that we had had. They didn't compete with us, so we're happy to show us what we've been doing. We also, at every single one of our divisions, we have buy local and we hire locally. So that's a big push that we do, everything that we can. All of our, when we had our, new facility go up and we needed 150 chairs, we bought them all within McKinney. So we do that and everything. We also, within McKinney, the material that we get to be recycled, we actually, once it's $100,000 over, we actually split that with the city of McKinney. So they get to fund their green programs and stuff that they do with that money from us. And then we also have been doing programs with a lot of different economic development corporations to do like a 12 at 12 program where we'll have 12 business leaders in the community and the city and anybody that needs to talk to them. They can kind of talk about any issues that they're having with the city. If they built something, if there's ordinances that affect them, where they can say, we have a problem with this and it can be addressed instead of a huge company just leaving without ever telling anybody why. So we've actually won a number of awards just based on bringing that program in. So that's been really successful, and that's good for us too, to learn our big customers in each of our cities so that we can be responsive to their needs as well. And that's my contact information. Questions?
So you were talking about the employee and job growth. Now, are y'all still seeing expansion and jobs created as a result of actually, reclaiming all these resources, obviously?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually, our facility, we had 107 people that included our drivers. When we built our new facility, we actually hired an additional 25. So, and that is interesting in that we became more automated, but we still had more people coming in. So I think that people like seeing that, and especially when it's a job that instead of hand sorting, the supervisor of equipment. So those jobs are getting better, and we are still hiring people for that. So that has been nice.
Y'all generated 19 megawatts of power from using landfill gas.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all own the generator, or did you just sell the gas?
That's in our New York facility, so I don't have the specific answer on that. It's all on our website though. We have an IESI.com website. This is our Texas site, but it's all in detail there too. Yes.
So the recycling program that you have, you mentioned at McKinney, so does the city make money on their recycling?
Yes, they do, every year.
Can you quantify it?
I don't know the last number. We basically weigh every single truck that comes in. So the routes that are from McKinney businesses, schools, and residences, we weigh that. We do a rebate basically based on what we have brought in. We sell it, and then we do that every month. We get them a report of how much our commodities sold for, how much of that came from McKinney, and what that in dollars equates to.
Are all of the commodities sellable?
Yes. We're talking about the cardboard, basically everything that comes into the recycling facility. So cardboard, glass, plastics, aluminum, tin, steel, all paper, all the major ones.
Good.
Any other questions?
Hello everyone. It's almost lunch, so I'll try to make it short. I'll go ahead and take over. Just press the button. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the materials reclamation and how it relates to job growth. Two topics I wanted to go over. All right. Okay. Two areas I wanted to go over. What we're currently doing in the industry, some real world examples of how we reuse manufacturing material. Also wanted to expand it a bit to include industrial facilities. Also, the second topic would be future growth opportunities. What we're currently researching and working on to build for technologies to hopefully expand the growth opportunities. So we're going to be talking about what's happening now and what we're going to be doing in the future. Some of these topics, Frank had touched on a little bit with what he's doing. One of them is fuels blending, which is basically spent material or off-spec material with a lot of BTU value, something that burns very easily. These products are no longer just incinerated just to be incinerated. They can be sold or given to other companies for energy recovery. A good example of that would be a cement kiln who uses a tremendous amount of energy. They no longer have to use just fossil fuels or natural gas, fossil fuel. They can use high BTU value chemicals and to run their facilities. Another example is mercury and electronics recycling. A lot of companies are having specialized companies just to handle these materials. It's gotten so sophisticated to where we can just order boxes from online, send it to the customer. They can package it up, mail it easily managed. What typically used to be very difficult to manage. Not only fluorescent bulbs, but you can do with this batteries, you can do this with ballasts, electronics, and in some place aerosol cans. Another reuse idea is spent material reuse, and this is, again, we're talking about spent, off-spec, outdated waste that would have at one time been sent off for disposal. They may be hazardous waste that they may need to be incinerated, or they need to be treated to the regulatory treatment standards before landfilling or what have you. Now these materials can be sold as a commodity to extend their life cycle. One good example of that is the Texas Renew program. It is a repository of a list of chemicals that companies no longer need, that they can't use for their intended purpose, so they'll give them or sell them to another industry, thus extending their life cycle. Or it's a list. Renew is also a repository of chemicals facilities may need, so other industries can look and say, oh, I've got this material, I don't have to dispose of it anymore, I can sell it. One interesting reuse is road-based recycling. These are typically non-hazardous materials such as spent catalyst or fly ash from industrial companies. It could be asphalt shingles from construction companies, tires or glass cullet from beverage companies. This is all put into a TxDOT program. These recycled materials are held to the same engineering standard as regular traditional materials. One thing all these have in common is that these are individual businesses, new businesses, that specialize in just handling these type of materials, and they're growing. Next. This is just a snapshot of what we've done so far from 2010 and where we hope to be by 2020. We hope to double the amount of recyclables. Next. So there's a vision coming from the very top of the senior leadership team to know our customer, to extract more value from what we get from them, and to innovate and optimize what we're currently doing. This actually is part of the segue to the second topic. So eventually we want to be not just a waste company managing waste, but to manage resources. About 5 years ago, the company created a group whose sole purpose was to create a portfolio of businesses to help the company evolve. Currently, there's a portfolio of about 30 acquisitions, joint ventures, and investment projects at various stages of development to help us through this evolution. There's a focus on 4 platforms: recycling technologies, talk a little bit about asphalt shingles, mercury reclamation, customer facing and sustainability models, You may or may not seen the Baxter commercials. Renewable energy and conversion technologies is what I'll expand on it slightly. Terrebonne. In 2009, we invested in a company called Terrebonne. This technologies converts biomass into biofuel through a acid fermentation process through anaerobic digestion. Its main feedstock is food waste. This process is ideally suited for creating jet fuel, and currently they're experimenting with DOT to create some grade A jet fuel. The first pilot plant actually was in College Station. They've expanded it now to where they're permitting it into a larger facility in Port Arthur. Landfill gas to liquids, similar to what Elizabeth was talking about. How the landfill gas isn't just going for energy recovery anymore. It can be processed further into transportation fuel, into liquefied natural gas. Currently, we have a large facility in California that can generate up to 13,000 gallons of fuel per day. In fact, it's fueling much of the natural gas fleet in California. It's currently the largest landfill gas to fuel facility in North America. And it does create ultra low carbon liquefied natural gas. One of the benefits is the carbon emissions, which is 97% less than diesel. There is plans on bringing this to other landfills, including ones in Texas. Agilix, a technology that converts hard to recycle plastics. We're talking 3 through 7s and contaminated plastics, converting it into crude oil. About 1 ton of plastics is converted into about 200 gallons of sweet crude. We're getting away from the fossil fuels, and now we're reusing things that were never reused before. Agilix currently operates in Portland, and there are currently permitting facilities around the country, and there's even talks of one being developed in Houston. And this is just a snapshot of the process, from point of generation through a process, through a MERP process, through the actual technology, to actually going to the refinery as the product. This is an idea of how reclaimed material is spawning new businesses where it's never existed before. From trash to composting, from trash to creating power, to creating ethanol fuel, ultimately to high-grade chemicals. That's it. Any questions? No questions?
You did speak about a lot of the materials that are regulated that are spawning some of those new businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Are they? I know that one you spoke to very high about the cement. Are they like the briquettes or something? Or like charcoal? What are the size of those that go to those cement companies to fuel? Or
That could be liquid.
Oh, it can be.
It can be liquid. It's goes into their process. They batch mix everything, and they meet certain specifications for their fuel, and then they use it that way.
So is there a lot of, I guess, interest being generated around that concept? I mean, as far
It's
as
been-
San Antonio?
Are you talking about the spec fuel plant we talked about over the
Yes.
phone?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That one's slightly different. Didn't go over that one, but that one it takes a lot of materials that would have been sent to a landfill. It desiccates them. It puts them through a process of eliminating parts of the constituents that wouldn't be work for this, and it compresses it into a small pellet. This pellet can be used as a high BTU value solid for again, a good idea, a good example of cement kiln. Instead of burning coal to generate electricity, they would burn this pellet, generating more electricity than coal, and it would burn cleaner. So that one is in San Antonio, and it's a large project now, and I'm certain they'll expand it.
In terms of electronic recycling, a lot of the large electronic manufacturers here in the United States, it appears, are starting to move towards some type of buyback programs. Best Buy has one, and a lot of your phone manufacturers or phone carriers will do the same thing in terms of throwing your old BlackBerry, they'll recycle it somehow. Are you working with those individuals from an electronic recycling standpoint? And then also, if not, then does Waste Management have to deal with very much in terms of information on those electronic items?
We're working with them in the sense that a lot of those products may come to one of our facilities to be processed.
Right.
But that's pretty much the extent of it I'm aware of.
And the other thing, like I mentioned, I'm from Waste Management, is we work with the cities on holding the events, and I'm sure you do too, where the cities will hold their own hazardous waste. It's all about educating the public about what is hazardous and electronics, and so we'll actually help sponsor those collection events in the different cities.
Right.
So they're always a great source of finding out where when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so are you, like, you know, technology is changing so quickly. I had the opportunity to see a very large electronic recycler that used to recycle the very large computers and things of that nature. But at that point in time, the technology wasn't advanced enough to pull those high-end metals out. And so, does your system have to adapt to the new types of technologies? I mean,
It's constantly evolving. They're
Yeah.
constantly upgrading equipment to meet that need.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Do we have the video ready to roll?